There they go into the back. The blue line on. We have a race, and Satnova's beaten Pure Steel out by a length and a half.
Welcome to Talking Trots, hosted by Mortz and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
The sensational Sydney sider, Seals to Sam, comes off the back straight. He's a bucket load of alliteration, this fellow.
Scott Bomber Hill will join the boys to look at the Friday night meeting at Gloucester Park, and Hayden King will find the winners for the weekend's racing.
Here comes Quinny. I'm the mighty Queen, is 4 deep and letting go.
Sit back and enjoy Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
I'm the mighty Queen is just in front. Dasher VC can do no more, and the West Australian champion has done it again.
Hello and welcome to Talking Trots for yet another week, this summer edition. Hayden King back with you alongside Glen Moore. You're back in the seat this week, Glen.
Yeah, back again. The boys are still in recess, but they're getting close, they tell me. Little bird told me not far away, so that'll be interesting next week or maybe the week after, but we've got a very special guest tonight.
Yeah, we had one last week in the studio as well.
And she was brilliant, Gemma. I heard it. Yeah, she was great. It gave us an insight from the training aspect, just a new look at it, and I found it very interesting indeed.
She'll be happy with this replay we're going to play on for our guest as well. Last week, she gave a pretty good push on air for this horse, taking the mickey and duly saluted by some space, a mare in form.
Leading clearly from in second place, Lamandier, and then came Stamford, followed by getting through October Rain in the centre, and wider out as I'm a 5-star general, but taking the mickey is well clear. It's about 20 metres in front of Lamandier. Stamford running to fourth is October Rain, but taking the mickey bolted home from Lamandier, Stamford and October Rain.
That horse's reinsman, Chris Voak, joins us on the line now. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm well, Hayden. Yourself? Glen, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Great to have you on the show. Nobody in better form than you. I'm going to rename you. You're not the Voak trainer anymore. You're the punter's pal.
Well, that'll be a first for a long time.
They did a big job this week. I think 6 winners, was it? Still on the Beach, Twigwell Road, Rock Artist, Follow the Dragon, Boulder Case, Star of Gold. That's in 2 meetings. But in quite a few of those on Twitter and the parade ring, you gave a huge push, and the punters, thank you very much. It was big on Twitter, X, that the punters were very thankful of some of your pre-race comments.
Yeah, well, it's pretty important, I suppose, if you follow it, and you could have cashed in on some good price winners.
No doubt.
And I will say those interviews, they rely heavily on both the transparency and the acuity of the drivers being across the form and being readily able to provide that perspicacity of thought when you are interviewed. And Chris, that is something you have in spades, and you've been able to push a couple this week, and punters have cashed in. They've been good moves on both of those ones you had on Tuesday. So I thank you personally as one of the people that conducts those interviews for being so readily available.
Well, I think it's also important. So as a punter, if you like one, you sort of have an awareness of what your driver's thinking. You know, if your assessment of form and speed map is, A and theirs is B, well, it might lack confidence for you to dive into one, but if they're very similar, it gives you the confidence to punt on that runner.
Yeah, look, Chris, 100% agree. Like a lot of punters these days, the speed maps is absolutely gold for me. And when you're betting novelties, and we've quite often got short price favourites, not always, but the short price favourites, you've got to find value. So the speed map becomes absolutely important for the trifectas and first fours in particular. And I think people underestimate the value you can get in harness racing by those novelties, because quite often you can turn a very short price favourite into value if you can get that speed map right, and the driver gives you that information. Can be very important into what happens in the running of the race. And when you're trying to get that first four or trifecta, that information that you give in the parade ring is vitally important.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
So what we need to do here now is, you're only as good as your last winner, mate. So we
need some help tomorrow night.
We need some more help.
Tomorrow night, first race. You've got Mac Larney, and I really think this horse is beginning to run into some form for Giles. His last couple of runs have been quite encouraging. How do you see it working out tomorrow?
Well, the key for him, I think he'll be close enough. Obviously, the barrier, I can see him sort of maybe landing 1-1, something like that. And from there, like I said, he'll be close enough. He came from a peg's position and flooded home, fast mile rate, However, the last furlong might have been a bit slower, so he still got to the line good. But it is a competitive race. I'd say a place chance first, but if it does work, and he's shown him taking improvement off last run, which obviously I'll know once I speak to Giles and convey that through your Twitter X interview, he may be some each-way value there.
Chris, when you look at the race, did you have the Kraken as the leader?
Oh, on first glance I did, but there was a couple of runners out wide I thought might test him early.
Springline won?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's got great gate speed. It just don't know whether the Kraken could muster quick enough from him. I think he's better from outside gates. Stereophonic got out really quick.
He did, yeah.
It was a slow front line, though, at last start, but I think Springline would hold him. But I would say, yeah, Springline looks to me the one that could potentially zap them early, but if he does, I think he's very hard to beat. If he doesn't, then I think it plays into the hands of McLarney.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting interview too with Mitch Miller with the intent of Springline. Sometimes they drive it from a sit, other times they utilise the gate speed. Last start it got caught on the breeze, clearly didn't suit.
I think he's personally a better sitting sprinter. That's just my opinion, but obviously it's all relevant to the class of race you're in and things like that and the speed off the front line. A race like this, if he used early, zap them quick, well, you know, he can be used early and is a great front runner, as he's won before. So,
for sure.
One to follow on those interviews, I think.
Yep. Luca, logical leader. Logically, you'd take its back with Parado at Astra.
Yeah, that's my first assessment when the race opened, but Bella Venera's got a lot of gate speed. Not a lot. Luca's not that quick, as you've seen.
Yep.
You know, it's no secret, but from my point of view, I've thought of it all day and yesterday afternoon and that, and I just see, even if that happened, Luca will end up probably popping off, so we'll still have optional leaders back, worst case 3 back. So I think, to me, I'd be negative early and then aggressive late. I think that horse is better driven that way. He's a one-run type of horse. His best form for me has probably been in the stands. Even when he's lost ground, he's actually run some really strong races. So I'd be intended not to get involved early and let those two go at it maybe, and we could capitalise that way. But I'd say a place chance first, just given the sheer class of Luca.
And Mr. Mont Blanc, a quick beginner, did get Luca and hop his way previously. They're pretty fast beginners, aren't they? So you may be able to do enough for Bill Hayes here, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It's just logical for me. I don't think... If it doesn't pay off by trying to cross, well then I've thrown all my eggs in a basket, then we bring 4th and 5th into play. We're doing it this way. I think guaranteed a top 3 finish.
Mm-hmm. Race number 3, Franco Weston. He won that race a couple of starts ago, but this looks too tough, doesn't it?
Just the draw. His run, it looks ordinary last week, but it actually wasn't that bad. I think had he not have got pushed off the track at the 580 and 4 wide, he actually could have run 5th, and I reckon a 5th next to his form would look more attractive, but I do think the barrier draw proves hard to overcome in this race.
Yeah, that was a classy race, and you're following all as well, and the pace went right on down the back, didn't it? So it creates that problem when you're trying to keep the back around.
The form around all is super strong. It's taking the Mickey and him, and he backed it up. So it's a strong form line.
Yeah, you've got probably Palagroso trying to cross there. Did you think he might cross in that particular race?
Possibly. Look, I haven't really looked at it that in depth for me, Glenn, because I really, as far as my tactics go, again, I've probably got to be negative and then look to capitalise thereafter. So
sure.
I'll be, you talk about my mindset in that is trying to run 4th or 5th from the bad draw, and if we capitalise greater off of that, well, that's fantastic.
100%.
Volton 10 in race number 5, Delta Blow by the barrier. He doesn't have good enough gate speed to be getting across and getting too active here. How did you weigh it up?
I think, look, his last run, he's run home in 55 and change himself, which is as quick as he can go. It looks like it's going to be a similar type of race, and he's just going to be a bit far back, but he'll keep plugging along, but I'd probably wait till he gets his chance to be on pace. Yeah, the group preferential draws at 1,700 don't help Volton 10 at all, do they? It's a big enough task as it is.
Well, especially when
I mean, it's on the HWOE or whatever, and I mean, a lot of that was earned, a
long
couple
time
of
ago.
seasons
Yes, that's
right.
right.
He's got to wait his turn, and he did win, an open company event when a condition event when he led and all that. But we need to be getting a draw similar to that to do it again, I'd say.
You're driving a Sniper Du horse in race 6 off the front mark. Place chance, you would have thought. Probably got to get to the rail, eh?
Correct. That's the key. The only negative, I mean, there's 3 good beginners underneath him as well. So, I mean, hard to see where I'm going to get to. But his run was encouraging. He sort of impressed me a little bit last start because it was a fast time, and he never quit. So. He's another one for your novelties, if you want to play your quartets exactas, he's one to throw in for your 3rd to 4th.
Yeah, it could have gone any way. Those 4 on the front line, they're all fast beginners, and unfortunately you're drawn the widest of the lot of them, which really hurts your claims. And if he can't find the rail early, do you still think he could run into the placings?
I think it'll be difficult. I think you look at a horse like Chel Patch, 20 metres is never easy to win off, but I think that horse loses class, even though he's first up. Highly competitive horse at open company.
Rupert of Lincoln, horse that you know very well and drive to its strengths, its capabilities, but this looks tricky on paper with Lamandier and October Rain 1 and 2.
Yeah, it does. I actually thought Ardent Horizon could be the one maybe to make a case for himself and make a race of it. I mean, his best form's certainly good enough to win in my book. I mean, he was held up last week, and whether he's back to his best, you'd probably have to hear what Callan has to say pre-race regarding that horse. But I'd be inclined to maybe, I think it'd be between Lamandier, him, and October Rain getting the nice soft run on the leader's back. But if that's the case, we could be 1-1, and from there, he can salute the judge.
And the 2,500 will help you if they go hard and the last quarter is a bit slower. He'll be running on strongly.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree, Glen.
Jumping ahead, I know it's early days, but field's out for Monday. I just want to get your opinion on Zara Tyndall and Henry Maguire. They had their first appearance there for Mouse a week and a bit ago. What did you make of their performances?
They were good performances for where they're at. I think Mouse had to line them up, a week early just because the owners were over on vacation, so they wanted to watch their horses race. So knowing that they probably would have gone to trials instead of the races, they were credible performances. So you'd expect great improvement off them for their runs Monday, albeit they've drawn unfavourably. But I think it's the right type of races for them. That's just my opinion.
Rock Artist is a horse that's got a big future. He's coming along nicely. It's probably just a bit early for him against those really top 3-year-olds, but the maturity is there and you can see him growing every time we see him. How do you sort of rate the horse in a long-term sense?
Well, when one of my good friends, racing and managers all our syndicates, Rick Giametti, originally bought him off Clayton and Emma, Clayton really liked the horse, and he went as far as going. He thought he'd developed into a Cups horse over there when he was 5, and said, look, obviously we ended up buying, and he said, if things don't work out, I'd desperately like to have the horse back, if it doesn't work out for us over in the West. So it sort of gave me a bit of confidence that, okay, if we didn't develop him here and he wasn't doing what Clayton thought he'd do, we had that option to fall back on and send him back to him. So that's the reason I actually ended up agreeing we should jump into the horse. So he's taken a bit of time to get there. When I first got him, he really struggled with the sand, did a lot of sleeping. I think he was growing a lot. And even the next prep, I was probably soft, or this prep, I was soft on him. I was training him off what I saw last prep, and then probably 6 weeks ago, I just really gave him some tough love and started cantering him hard in the sand and drilling him with the hopper work, and then he's progressively gotten better. I still think we're another prep away, but he's just, look, it's the immaturity, but he will develop. I'm pretty confident of it. And even still, he may not make the grade to where I think he'll get to even at late 4-year-old, but he's probably a long-term long-term proposition for us. But, you know, I do think if he doesn't do it, the owner, because I bought a share in him ourselves. So we will go that way with him if Peyton, just because he was so confident about the horse.
Well, Duel Me Some More is another one that you got cranked up and going pretty well. The trial was excellent the other day too. It's in at Bunbury. Have you had a look at that race?
Yeah, I have. I thought she looks like she can find the front there with Chow Babe and I'm Drinking Doubles likely to sit over the journey. Franco Mecca's nice horse, but he gives us 20 metres. And I thought that personally, that let's run on Monday, Ideal and Gold. It was terrific considering, you know, I rated 59.8. It lost 30, 35 metres and it went down 2. So, I mean, its last mile would have had to be pretty solid.
Kept
so I
coming.
would think, correct. And this is, I think, a big drop in class for that horse. Whether she's good enough to beat that horse remains to be seen. But I look outside that, I can see her running a place for sure. She surprised me. I really didn't have a high opinion of her, but she's another one I really upped her work, and she's just taken it in her stride. So where she gets to, you know, that remains to be seen, but she's certainly doing nothing wrong in my book. Her last sort of 4 or 5 anyway, Glenn.
Yeah, just looking at the future, Chris, in terms of the yearling sales coming up, what's your racing model in terms of, are you going to be active at the yearling sales here in Perth and looking for young horses?
To be honest, I looked at the last few years and the yearling sales. I probably, to buy, I can't afford to buy what I want. You know, that's the short of it. I don't really have the owner base and capital behind us to buy those top purchases. So I went a different way and negotiated a deal with Brian Cousins, and I've gone that way with him where, you know, I think he's got a strong breed of horses there, and he sold his property up in Oakford, so we struck a deal where his mares will be put in foal, and we can syndicate those foals out and race them. So that's sort of the way I went about it, in order to try and build the capital and build our owner base, and hopefully then we can go to the sales in 4 or 5 years and buy what we want. But as you know, you buy a yearling, it sort of
takes a while.
Let's say you spend 50, you're into it for 80 to get it to the races, and then a lot of people don't have the patience to wait 2 years to hit the racetrack. They want them up and going.
Yeah, when you're starting out as a trainer, you need to get up and going, get some winners, and then those owners might graduate to the yearlings in a long-term sense, that's for sure. Yeah, but at the meantime, we're still always actively looking to buy the right sort of horse that can do a job, and still negotiating with guys over in Melbourne, some better class horses potentially coming here for the summer carnival and things like that. So there may be some things in the pipeline over the next 3 to 6 months for us.
Righto, punters, pal. Have you got a winner tomorrow night, Maclani each way, or anything over the next few days?
I think Monday looks to be a better day for me, I would think, with Michael Brennan's horses, and I think Rock Artist can get the job done again on Monday. So that looks to be my best card, I would think. So you got Zara Tyndall, Henry Maguire, and Rock Artist as your 3 major chances. Yeah. He's a call Mac as well? Yep. Yeah, he's drawn
4.
Three.
Looks tough.
4. I'm just bringing that up now. Street Appeal.
Well, Regal Cheval's drawn 1, and then you've got a bit of class outside you too.
Yeah, he was actually all right. I thought that horse actually, you know, he had a Murphy blind on the near side, and I went to the outside, not the sprint lane, and he got past the leader, and I think he thought he'd won the race and just called it a day when we needed him to keep going. I don't think he saw the horse up the sprint lane because he had the Murphy blind. So I'd give him a good place chance, definitely. It's good.
Okay, thanks, Chris, so much for coming along.
There's something there anyway.
Let's hope you don't lose your reputation as the punter's pal in the next few days.
Unfortunately, I was going to say you guys give it to me, but it's hard to damage a reputation that's already damaged.
There you go. Good
Thanks,
on you,
Chris.
mate.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
That's Chris Voak there. Really good with his time as always, Glenn, and hopefully steered us into a couple more winners.
Yeah, look, it's terrific to talk to Chris, and gave us a good outline of what's coming up. And the punters can hopefully benefit.
Bayswater Mazda, corner of Guildford and Garrett Road. Get up to Bayswater Mazda if you require a deal on your next car. We've got to take a break now. As we do, it was the Warwick last week, the feature event on the card, and Luca got away with a lot out in front, but all is well, crept into the race at the right time. And I think crucially, that last quarter was the fastest, which really helped his cause.
No doubt about that. I think if they had their time again on the leader, I think 30.5 into the bell, should have got going. Allowed us as well to get on top of him, and it just had that too much brilliance at the end.
Here's All Is Well, Downing Luca.
Mr. Mont Blanc gets to the outside now, and then Navy Street as a corner. Luca, All Is Well. Mr. Mont Blanc to the outside. Luca just in front. All Is Well. Luca, All Is Well. All Is Well. Luca, Luca, All Is Well. Luca just in front of All Is Well, who lunges on the outside. All Is Well on the outside might have nosed Luca from Mr. Mont Blanc, Navy Street.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
Coin leads by 2 metres, Fleur de Marquis. Cooper on the inside, Ardent's Horizon, no clear run. Likewise without the tower, and then Raven Banner. Watching our corner is clear. Ardent's Horizon's trying to get through. There's not much room with Fleur de Marquis. And watching our coin, races home to win well. Watching our coin first, second, Fleur de Marquis, I think, nosed Ardent's Horizon. They did have...
Indolent, but very talented. Watching our coin, loafing along out in front, did what he had to get the money in the conditioned stand last week. These conditioned stands always produce a fine contest. Watching our coins, he's a fast beginner and he got conditions to suit last week, Glen.
Yeah, it all just needed to get the start right, didn't he? And hold everything to his outside. Looked the winner as long as he jumped cleanly and got the job done quite easily.
That race did look like shaping up to be quite nice. I was looking at the nominations heading into it. There was Minstrel, Shall Patch, but they didn't turn up, and it left it for Watching Our Coin to win. Minstrel we'll touch on later. He was able to salute earlier on in the program, and Shell Patch we get to see tomorrow night in the stand. Yeah, the conditions of that race suited Watching Our Coin. Got off the front mark, had the 20-metre handicap the previous time, and the conditions of that race meant that he started off the front, so might have fighting it through off to give him a start, particularly a big handicap when he can run close to 2 minutes himself, or less if he wanted to. I don't think he had to do that the other night, but it was an easy watch. 1800 100 100, the number you call if you require any assistance. Loans 123. Steve Sell will sort you out. No bomber this week, so we've got to have a look at the Gloucester Park program. We've got 8 events up for decision. Numbers are on the lower side, Glenn.
Yeah, on the lower side. I think it's an issue. Only 8 races. I'd like to see at least 9 to obviously 10, which is our normal setup. Probably transitional, Hayden, with the Pacing Cup and the transitional change in the industry with the season going to the 31st of December means the 2, 3 and 4-year-old racing's towards the end of the year, and they go out for a spell. So the free-for-allers go out because the Pacing Cup's over, the 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds all go out for a break, and then they come back and get ready. Like if you look at, I think next week, for example, and a lot of these fast class horses getting ready for the Nullarbor, they're back in work now. So some of them 1st of January would have come back. You've got big lead up races like Bunbury and Pinjarra Cup leading up into the, like for example, Pinjarra Cup 4th of March, Bunbury Cup 30th of March. There'll be major lead up $50,000 lead up races into the slot race 19th of April, the Nullarbor 1.25 million, and the Fremantle Cup 300,000 a week later. So these horses had to have a break. So your fast class numbers are down, and the 2-year-olds went out for a spell, 3-year-olds same. So they'll all come back in January and get ready to have another go, and then you'll have. So I think it'll change, but basically what it comes down to, we're still learning about the transitional period to try and keep our numbers up towards the end of the year, and those numbers dropped off. So maybe we could look at, on Gloucester Park, which is our highest turnover night, bringing a couple of races into the Friday night, even though they may be less than Metropolitan Stake money, to knowing that the turnover will be a greater return for the industry. You know, these are transitional things that I think the racing department will be working towards long term. There's learnings from all these changes, and I think we'll benefit from just having a look back at it retrospectively and then making some changes.
That is something that could be looked at, bringing a couple of lower level races into the program. However, I do think it is a problem that the numbers will bounce back when the season begins to ramp up, but how long can it keep bouncing back for?
Well, the lull period was always at a different time of the year when, around September or October, the numbers were down.
I can't remember it being this low.
No, it's decidedly bad. That's why we need to, and the management are looking at ways of improving the bottom line, if you like, and the way we function, and we have to leave no stone unturned as to where we maximise turnover and revenue for the industry. Stake money is the key to everything. The owners will keep investing provided it's an attractive stake money. We need to maintain and improve our stake money, which I think is the goal of everybody. But along with all that, we need to maximise and improve our performance and get a better result on the bottom line. So these options can be brought around by having a good look at the way we operate. There's reports coming out late January into the way we run the industry, and been a hard look at the handicapping system and other matters, programming. All these things are hard decisions, but what we have to do is put personal interests aside and make sure the benefit is to the industry and to get a better bottom line so that we can make a case to the rower board to increase our return on investment. And if the stake money is maintained and improved, the owners will keep putting their hand in the pocket. So at the moment, we're not breeding enough horses, so we've got a system that is very good in terms of the West bred to entice people to the yearling sales. We're not breeding enough horses. So Chris Voak referred to it tonight. He's got contacts in Victoria and in other places. He's trying to bring horses in, as is Michael Young and many others. So they're adding to the horse population here, and what they're bringing in is generally horses that are well known to the eastern states punters, and those punters are making up about 90% of our turnover. So we bring in horses that they already know, and they've attracted to Western Australia by stake money and by the handicapping system, let's say. It's attractive to them to come here, and we entice them in. This is what's been happening, but it's a slow build. So what we have to do is do everything we possibly can to maximise increasing our turnover. The owners will invest, provided we've got incentive to invest. There's no doubt about that. But the stake money did go up in 2022, I think. So we need to keep encouraging owners to invest, but we definitely have to have a good look at ourselves about how we can increase the bottom line. And this is the management that Rawa are looking at. They brought in Cam Brown to have a fresh set of eyes. The Dummersey report will be out. The industry will see what the recommendations are for that. The industry report's into the tracks. That'll be another report. And then the industry will get their opportunity to look at it. And I think we have to come to terms with we need to make some changes to improve the bottom line and help ourselves. We can't just keep keeping things the same. It's not working, clearly, but we're full of confidence that if the management can come up with the right strategies that will fight back, put it that way.
I was asking you just before, for the benefit of the listeners, can you explain just what those reports are doing?
Well, the Dummersey report was to examine the handicapping system and have a look at the HWOE condition system and the national rating system. Now, John Dummersey, because he was CEO of New South Wales, he's very, very aware of how the national rating system works. The bottom line is to examine it and then have a look at it against the condition racing system. And one of the things they're looking at in regards to that is turnover and the value in the markets, particularly the odds-on favourites. Now, anecdotally, and we haven't seen the report, but anecdotally from what we've seen, and Dummersey will do the report through Cameron Brown, anecdotally they've increased the average prices of the favourites by going to that system. Now, we don't know which national rating system they looked at, whether it was just New South Wales or Victoria, Queensland as well, etc. But if the data shows that we can increase, say, an average price or increase the $1.30 to $1.50 $1.50 to $1.70, $1.80, increase the average price of the favourites, that should help turnover. And whatever it comes down to, we're a turnover-based industry for return on investment. So we need to find out whether that's a better way to go in the future, and that report should lead us in the... We have to trust the data and then go with the data to make decisions that will benefit the industry. So that type of information is going to be presented to the industry sometime late January, and then the eligible bodies can discuss it with all that input in February, 7th of February is the HRCG meeting of the eligible bodies, and that'll be a key measure. The Edgeley report, again, I don't know a lot about it. That would be examination of every track, what is required at every track to maintain it and improve it and keep it up to standard for the safety of the horses and for the track surface, the cost of doing all that stuff. All that sort of thing will be examined so that we, again, can be guided by what's the best outcome, what's the best interest of the industry, where we race, where we get the best results for turnover and return on investment to the industry. All that is very important to the future of harness racing, and it's got to be based on data, not emotion. We all know that there's vested interest involved in a lot of these decisions in terms of people, let's say people that want to have an industry that's, spread out to outlying areas as well. But one of the areas that we need to look at is where the horse population exists, and that data is available, and the distance travelled from the horse population to the venues. And when we do travel to the venues, are we getting a bang for our buck? Now, what we have seen over the last few years is the horse population is 87% roughly from Perth to the southwest, and that's where the major horse population is, and it makes sense that, and the ownership's very similar, and the trainers are situated in those areas as well. We've also seen that the benefit in racing at the more high profile tracks, let's put it that way, a better return on investment is what we've got to focus on. So whatever that data shows us, I think is the direction that the Owners Association, and I'm president of the Owners Association, we're looking at the data and saying, okay, tell us where the best tracks are to race for return on investment. How can we reduce the cost for the trainers, drivers and owners? And where are the best outcomes for revenue to the industry? If we get all that data, then we believe, the Owners Association, just putting on that hat tonight, we believe that's the direction we should go, and we've been continuously asking for that information to try and guide us. Now, there are obviously, we don't want any tracks to close down, full stop. So don't take it as that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to race at the tracks that are best for the industry in terms of return on investment, because we are having to pull our weight against the greyhounds and against the thoroughbreds to make sure that we are pulling our weight. And I think that's the bottom line now. The time has come to make those hard decisions. So we'll see it's data driven for me. If we find that certain tracks like Narrogin, just looking at it, seems to be a reasonable track for turnover. If we find that Narrogin's a good track for turnover and the data shows that, we race at Narrogin. If the tracks are not performing, we have to race less at those tracks. But I see, in the Owners Association, see that we don't want to lose any tracks, so that those tracks that aren't performing as well and haven't got a high horse population area, we see those days as major cup days, that you really promote them and have a huge day out for their cup days and have lead-up races lead-up meetings into those. But that's just an opinion of the owners that we've been espousing, because I think we really, quite frankly, identifying that we need to make some changes to help the industry as a whole, and data-driven is the answer. We're happy to go with the data.
Let's have a look at Gloucester Park tomorrow night. And the first race commences at 5:22, WA Hall of Fame. Submissions now open. If you have an idea for the Hall of Fame, make sure you stick one in. 21:30. Number 1, the Kraken gets the pole. How much gate speed does he have? 2, Blue Blazer. 3, Frankie J. Holden. 4, Maclani. We spoke to Chris. Horse on the upward trend. 5, Medieval Man finds his way back with Kiara Davies. 6, Our Star Watch. 7, Springline. 8, Stereophonic, who sprung the surprise, led the other day. Looked like he was going to win until he got too keen in the run, and that was the undoing. And 9, Mar Beecham steps up in grade.
Yeah, like it did get too keen. I think it ran the 28.9 when it wouldn't have wanted to, and then, had to stop late given those circumstances. Drawn outside Springline. We spoke to Chris Voak about this. Springline, a class-type horse for this company, but it's a matter of do they risk the cross? Because if it doesn't work, it's clearly trouble. But certainly got good gate speed, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays it. The Kraken, a reasonable beginner, and it's got Chris Lewis driving from barrier 1. You have to factor in the fact that Chris is very, very good at the gate, and he might do enough, but the interview with Mitch Miller will be significant to how this race is run. Maclani's another one. It's got a bit of gate speed when they elect to use it. Whether they will here or Chris Voak talk to Giles Inwood about that. He's another one's got a bit of gate speed when they elect to use it, Blue Blazer as well, but whether Blue Blazer right behind, right alongside the Kraken, probably unlikely, probably just take their medicine and drop in. What did you think in that regard?
Yeah, I thought they would drop in on Blue Blazer.
Yep.
What's your map then?
Well, this is one for the interviews because...
What are you going to say tomorrow on the preview?
Well, the question will be whether Springline has got the intent to come out really hard. What we do know about Springline is he probably doesn't have to win. I think he's going to be very hard to hold out here. But it's the old story. If they go slow and sprint, sit and kick horses find a little bit hard if they have to get exposed to chase the leaders in a sprint home. But my gut feeling is that Springline's got the class, so it's sort of playing Springline Kraken, and I want to hear the interviews tomorrow night in the Birdcage.
They won't go slow, though. If the Kraken led, they wouldn't go slow because he doesn't have a heap of high speed. He's a rolling type. He can go 156 over the 2100.
Yeah, he may elect to roll. I'm sure that's his style. A Medieval Man at his best would be outside the leader here. And again, he's a similar type of grinder. They may well elect to take the breeze here because there's no breeze horse there at all, basically. So Medieval Man very comfortable there. So there'll probably be enough heater on if Springline elects not to go forward. And if they run 156... that clearly will help Mitch Miller and Springline if they elect not to be used early. And he should maybe too brilliant late if that happens.
I'll be honest. I didn't even think about Springline going back. I thought he'd lead and win.
Yeah, well, that could be the option, but I want to hear it from Mitch. Well, Mitch might be a little bit conservative in that interview, but I reckon it'll be an option in his head looking at that field. But they will also consider the Kraken Chris Lewis drawn 1.
I reckon he'll cross Springline. He has been a little bit susceptible when he has led, particularly over a middle distance, 21:30.
Yep.
But mostly at Pinjarra. Gloucester Park, it's much easier to lead and keep going.
Yep.
So I think tomorrow night he can lead and win Springline. His last run, forget it. He was in the breeze,
Yep.
totally unsuitable before that. His efforts were really strong. He came from back in the field at Pinjarra, went second behind Nullarbor Navajo, got out too late behind Franco Weston, and then 5 runs ago he led and won, admittedly over half the distance. But yeah, it looks a really winnable race for him tomorrow night.
Certainly does. Look, he's got options. Be interesting. If he leads, you'd want to be on him more confidently. But even from the set, I think he's the class horse of that race.
The Kraken, if he was able to dig up and lead, he should be winning.
He's a bulldog.
Yep.
And he's going well enough.
His run 2 starts ago was good.
3 deep against
Forget it.
Yeah, David Young's horse last week. Couldn't get the breeze off Franco Mecca. And what's David Young?
Show Pony.
Show Pony led and went enormous. But the 154, you're 3 deep the journey. Forget the run. Try to get the breeze. No problem there. And the second was solid. He's been dying for an opportunity to lead. Chris Lewis is the man that could probably do it. But, yeah, I've got Springline on top either way. But with respect for the one, the markets will be interesting. We haven't got markets out yet, have we?
No. And Maclani is a horse that's improved from each of his runs. His last few, 2 back was good. Last start was better. He may be even better again. Medieval Man, well, they always say old dogs always find their way back home, and Medieval Man's come back to Kiara Davies, and he is a horse who definitely and almost exclusively does his best work on pace. So, providing he's in the right spirit, he's been a month between runs, he will be up on speed, I expect, in the breeze and gutsing it out. Stereophonic drawn wide makes it tough. Mar Beecham, he's a nice horse, Mar Beecham. I've got a bit of time for him, but he's up in grade. Drawn wide looks a bit too difficult.
Does look a bit difficult. I suspect that Jocelyn would be looking at what Mitch Miller does here for a start. And whatever, if Mitch is charging forward, she'll probably bail in, but she'll be keeping an eye on that as well because they like to get forward if they can. But, interesting little race, but Springline gets its opportunity here.
Race 2 is the Summit Bloodstock Division 2. Pace over the 21.30 at 5.52. Luca draws the inside for Bill Hayes. He was able to assume the front last start. He couldn't get there originally, but he was able to find the lead and was just narrowly touched off by All Is Well. Peradua Ad Astra next door, we've heard from Chris. Alfredi, who was unlucky to have not won on Tuesday at Gloucester Park. He just couldn't quite do enough to hold the position. He was a gutsy third in any case. Belezanera in 4 has gate speed. Here comes Sharky. Ashley Beach racing well. High Price has gone to a different level for Gary Sayers, I think. Well, he's definitely produced his best his last couple, something that he struggled to do in the past with continuity. And I'm the Mighty Lucy drawn out in gate number 8.
Yeah, interesting race. Luca, obviously the class horse here. The only question mark's the start, but he has been crossed by Hoppy's Way, a really fast beginner, and, of course, Mr. Mont Blanc. Very fast beginners, so you probably forgive him for that. Chris referred to Belezanera. I thought that Luca would do enough here. Kick up from barrier 1, probably suit him. That's to rail through. I know he got crossed from one before, but that was Hoppy's Way, a flying machine. And Bill Hayes needs to be on guard, but this does look the right race for him. High Price here went solidly last up, very good, 154 in the Show Pony race, and Show Pony won very easily, but certainly High Price ran on strongly. Gary Hall was very keen for the owners to take that horse out of the heavy sand, and that's what's happened there. Gary suggested to the owners to try and something different with this horse, to probably just, had some great form for Gary as well, but to tape it off. And so he was very keen for Merringtons to take it to a trainer just to get on top of the ground. Gary Sayers does a great job too. Very much an informed trainer. And so, did 2 runs for Gary, very good. Breezed first up at Northam, and then the good run again the other night with fast time against Show Pony. I just see this as a great opportunity and a very short price favourite, Luca. I think it's going to be really short, but the only question I guess at the start, they'll probably test him, but I didn't see electrifying gate speed there.
I thought they might be able to get him. I was wondering if Belezanera would... Well, the one I'm interested in is our Shelley Beach. Belezanera's not going that well, I don't think. I think he's dropped his bundle a bit, his last 5. But if you go back to the beginning of the campaign, he was in red-hot form, career best form. So I don't know what they'll do early. If they didn't go forward, I reckon our Shelley Beach would lead and win.
Yeah, the interesting thing, and it's going, forget about the 7th, very good run. Its runs, Shelley Beach, are very good, so the form is there, so there's no problem there. The start is the question, if Shannon wants to let loose at the start. He has crossed with Hoppy's Way before, Luca, but whether, I'm not convinced that Shelley Beach is anywhere near the gate speed of Hoppy's Way. But look, I'm not ruling out what you're saying, and I'll be very interested in the comments in the Birdcage tomorrow night. It is a possibility, Hayden, you're right, and Shannon's the man for the job, to upset the apple cart for the short price takers and the multi-followers. Bill Hayes has got to be alert. Belezanera, if it goes forward, it's probably going to make that harder for our Shelley Beach, because Dylan Edgerton Green might be aiming the same way. Try and cross first.
And then hand over.
So you've got that issue. So Dylan Edgerton Green's comments will be important to Shannon Savelko's outlook, and he'll be watching Dylan out of the gate. If Dylan charges, well, I think Shannon would change his mind. If he sees Belezanera not charging, well, Shannon will have a good look, I'd say.
Belezanera, I'd be confident, would hand to Luca. Would it hand up to our Shelley Beach?
I would think not, but I would think not. So Bill Hayes is going to be ready for Shannon's going to be coming across. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I doubt it, but Shannon's aggressive, so he might force the issue. And if Dylan's not 100% happy with Blizanera, like you say, it's tapered a touch. I would say if Dylan got the lead, he'd probably be inclined to hold it unless Luca was on top of him as well.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be what my gut feeling tells me, but I wouldn't rule out what you're saying.
That's race 2. Race 3 is the www.gloucesterpark.com.au Div 1 pace. 21:30 goes at 6:22. I Feel Sickdale draws 1. Joey James in 2. Pelagroso in 3. Few gate speed horses drawn low there. Sugar Apple in 4. Illawong Mustang in 5. State of Heaven 6. 7 Mr. Mont Blanc. 8 Franco Western. 9 Tubbs Farquhar.
Yeah, but the key is Pelagroso. You know, they're going to have a decent dip here. There's no doubt about that. It's a brilliant beginner. The one horse has got a bit of gate speed, but it'll be tested by Pelagroso, in my opinion. I think Pelagroso will get the lead. Do you agree?
No, I had I Feel Sickdale holding up.
Okay, so that's going to be very important. My gut feeling is Cole Symington, this horse is really, really quick when they push the button, and we have to find out whether he's going to push the button. I Feel Sickdale has led from one before, but a horse like Pelagroso, I've got a feeling all guns blazing will get it. And that makes it hard for I Feel Sickdale to win. And probably, if you look at Pelagroso did lead and get run down in the very last stride by October Rain. And they ran reasonable time that night, I think. So I think they'll be tempted to try and cross. And if they can't, well, you know, they have the quick look and it'll be obvious to them pretty quickly whether they get the lead or not. Joey James has also got a bit of gate speed, but I don't know whether Joey James would get involved here. Probably take that option of hoping the one holds up here. Lindsay Harper's well on record as saying that Sugar Apple, he likes to sit the horse. Has been forced to breeze. He won one of those races breezing. The fourth, he didn't really suit him the way the race was run. Horse over-raced a little bit, but a very, very good run last start. Sugar Apple. It's going to be hard to hold out here if he gets the right run. Mr. Mont Blanc, another brilliant beginner, but again, I don't think they'll attempt that if Pelagroso is getting involved. And I'm pretty convinced Pelagroso will get involved, but again, we'll need to listen to the interview, but I think they'll have a crack at least trying to get to the fence first, and then they can work out whether they want to retain the lead or not, and that'll depend on, you know, what happens after that. Like Pelagroso does cross, let's say he crosses quickly, you've got Sugar Apple, probably the only one he'll hand over to.
I don't think he'd hand over to anyone.
No, I said if they decided to sit. My gut feeling is they wouldn't unless they've had to do far too much. My gut feeling is they'll try and lead away if they ping to the front.
He definitely does his best work when he's on speed, Pelagroso.
He does, but they can earn behind the leader too. But if they have to really burn to get past I Feel Sickdale and they have to do too much, fast lead time, then Lindsay may present at that point. If it leads quickly, I agree, they wouldn't hand over on a slowish lead time if it pings the one.
Yeah, I thought I Feel Sickdale could do enough. I don't think he's going at his best, though, I Feel Sickdale. I reckon he's a little bit off what he was producing when we saw him lead and go
crying
close.
out to lead, though, isn't he?
Yes.
If he did lead, he'd go better, I think.
He did lead a few starts ago and he won.
Yep.
Well enough.
Yep.
But
Wasn't
I don't
strong
think
company.
It's still not his best work, I Feel Sickdale. He needs to lift off that win to be able to win this race because this is a bit tougher.
Yep.
But I did think he could do enough to hold Pelagroso. But I thought there'd be a bit of speed and then Sugar Apple could just sidle up to them. And I know he did seem like he was ready to explode last week with cover, but I think in a race like this, he could be driven with that controlled aggression in the breeze and he might be able to master I Feel Sickdale and be too strong.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got the class here. It's going really well, but the start will be important. The lead time will be very critical to this race. If I Feel Sickdale does lead, they'll probably run a reasonable lead time anyway. Pelagroso tries to cross. And, of course, I Feel Sickdale's a roller, so it can't afford to turn it into a sprint home either. It's got to roll along a little bit. It gets caught out in the big sprint. But, it'll probably keep even sectionals. If Madison can lead, probably keep it even. And the lead time is going to be significant. But, yeah, Sugar Apple, long term, that's the class horse here. be hard to beat, and probably Mr. Mont Blanc, another one. Like, they ran fast time against good horses last week, so it'll appreciate. If there's a bit of pressure on early, it'll be thundering late. It's quite a good horse from a set anyway, and did run reasonable sectionals last week as well.
Yeah, went well. So did State of Heaven when running second, because he was up on speed and he kept grinding away. They went 156.4, and Illawong Mustang able to win a race last week on the back of some good unplaced form before that. He got things run to suit and was able to salute.
Certainly, the State of Heaven, we anticipated improved performance. They got the 1-1, but they ran the time. And but if you look at it, the Kudo just won very, very easily, didn't it? And the favourite, the former favourite, the original favourite, Doc Holliday, clearly performed unders. And that probably did help Akuto, but Akuto went terrific, won easily. So, yeah, that form line there for Akuto was good. But, yeah, I'm sort of thinking the winner will probably, if I feel Sigdale leads and doesn't get hammered, it's probably hard to beat, but I like Sugar Apple and Mr. Mont Blanc for the class here.
Race number 4 is the Retrovision Online Pace, 21.30, 6.52. Queen in the corner draws 1. Rock and Roll Sass in 2 resumes. 3 Beyond the Sea, 4 Sovrana, 5 Rumour Has It, last week's winner. 3 Rumours drove her all the way to the post, draws immediately outside her in 6, and 7 Parakeet.
Yes, so tomorrow on the Gloucester Park preview, we've got Michael Young and Kyle Symington, so it'd be well and truly worth tuning in to listen to those two. And, of course, Rock and Roll Sass will be an important first upper, a brilliant beginner. The one horse, very fast beginner, but you think in this company they would elect to sit. That's not in blood either. But this is very strong company. So you've got the gate speed of Rock and Roll Sass, a flying machine. You've got the gate speed of Sovrana, a very quick beginner, who led last start. A little surprisingly how it worked out, but took the bit between the teeth, got the lead, dictated and won. Rumour Has It tried to lead 2 starts back, couldn't quite cross. That was Sovrana, and Sovrana ran down the track. Rumour Has It ran 4th, ran 5th, Sovrana. Then Sovrana comes out, leads and wins. So the temptation's going to be there, but it'll all depend on the Kyle Symington thought here as to whether Nathan Turvey has given him the green light on how well this horse is going. It's certainly capable of leading and winning this race at its best. And if you look at its form, Turn the Page did beat it on 2 occasions, sat outside it. It was just a touch too strong and too good for it. But if it gets the easy lead here, you've got to respect it. And the horse that's big question, not question mark, but the horse that's going really, really well, 3 Rumours. No matter how the race is run, I see it in the finish here. It's going really well. And it can be driven a number of different... We've seen it set up lately and we've seen it breeze and it's gone good on every occasion. So if there's heat on early, he's the one, I think, Hayden, that's going to be hard to beat because if they cut at each other early, Junior can assess all that and put the horse in the race.
Who have you got leading then?
I've got the 2 Rock and Roll Sass leading.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
I thought she'd lead and go close. Her form at the end of last campaign was not her best. I thought for most of that last campaign, she even won a race 4 starts ago, but she was still not going as well as what she'd shown when she was peaking toward the middle of last campaign.
Yep.
If she's ready, she'll give this a real shake from the front.
No doubt. But she did run into Turn the Page, which is a pretty smart horse.
No, but even at her best, I reckon she would have
possibly,
won
but you might be
race.
underestimating Turn the Page too, because it's sort of it's oozing with ability and class. So, yeah, look, I factored that in a little bit, but I know what you're saying. You look at it and you think it's probably going to get away with this and win. It just got found out late, but I think Turn the Page is a pretty promising horse as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Rock and Roll Sass leading, and I'd be prepared to take the punt on her.
Yeah.
3 Rumours, I think, gradually gets to the breeze and pretty
stable mate, of course. So probably not going to attack severely. But I agree with you, Rock and Roll Sass at its best, even in that form we're talking about, Turn the Page, that's good enough form to get away with this. Like if they leave it alone a little bit, turn into a bit of a sprint home. Kyle Symington will have direction from Nathan Turvey tomorrow night. How Nathan's just assessing its fitness and whether it's ready to go. Again, for a first upper, without that information, we're guessing a little bit, but we're assuming it's going to go good. I'm assuming it's going to go good. But whether it's wound right up is another issue, and there's some pretty good horses in this race. Beyond the Sea, I forget last run, like it got off the fence and pulled out when the pace went on, and he took that punt of getting out, but there was a big sprint home late, so it was solid enough for me. If it stayed in the rail, I would have finished closer, but it's a knockout horse here on that run even. Sovrano never underestimated because it can win from a sit. Rumour has it a little bit harder. Clearly, it dictated last start. It's a tricky draw for it here. 3 Rumours is versatile, and you cannot rule out Paraquet. It's racing super, but how does it get into the race here? It's going to rely on a lot of pressure here early and then try and be put in the race and hope they get tired late. But a horse you can't rule out. This is a terrific race.
That's race number 4 on the program. We're going to go to a break now. As we do, let's go back to that horse we've already spoken about last week, Show Pony. The only thing he had to do was get out of the arm just fast enough to hold Franco Mecca, and that's exactly what he did with some assistance from Naming Lights, and he was able to lead and win very comfortably.
And high price is still running on. Blue Blazers out very wide, but Show Pony well clear in that 29-1. Had raced away from a high price going up on the outside. Naming Lights is battling on. Late on the seam, Maclani, but it's an easy win to Show Pony. It's going to destroy them, and Show Pony won easily over high price. Maclani was a super third out wide.
Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Goodfellas running on as well. Around the turn they run, and the leader is Minstrel well clear. Over El Daytona, Rubens Plight and Goodfellas, and tailed off Lavrageau, but it's all Minstrel, and Minstrel cartwheeling away from them. Rubens Plight runs to second, Goodfellas goes to third, then El Daytona, but Minstrel, who came home in a 29 and 28-1, won easily by 10 metres to Rubens Plight. 7 or 8 metres away, Goodfellas.
A race that was marred by Lavrageau's early departure down the back straight, trailing them home on the run to the judge. Got to say, Glen, I was firmly in the corner of Minstrel. I thought he'd lead and win, and I was wrong, but I was right.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I thought it'd hold, but under that severe pressure from Lavrageau, that speed, it just mixed his gait a little bit. And, I was under pressure there because in my multis, and I thought I'm in trouble. But it all resurrected in the run. Might have been a bit fortunate, but the same token, it went very, very good Minstrel as well. So
I'd totally come to terms with the loss about 150 metres after the start.
He wasn't happy. In terms of the punt. But Lavrageau, that's a major concern. Obviously, they're going to have a good look at what happened there. The indications from Kyler might have choked. I think Ray Jones is giving a little bit of time off just to recover and then reassess all that. So it's very important, Lavrageau, because of what happened there in terms of how you drive it in future. Like if you want to burn out of the gate and he chokes, well, do you take the option next time when that opportunity arises to only use that when you're pretty certain of leading, or do you take the view that next time Kyle Harper does do that, Kyle looks at it in a different way, and instead of trying to get Minstrel on his back, so I can understand what he was trying to do, but the horse clearly was over racing badly, and would you be better off just in future letting him roll? Because we have seen that Lavrageau is the type of horse you can let run, and if the opposition is good enough to pick him up, good luck. He can run these freak sectionals. So just maybe, from the viewpoint of the future, if they do elect to do that, probably they have to look at letting him roll rather than trying to pinch, which it's all easy in retrospect. I'm not having a go, but I'm just saying it is a very key thing in future as to how they drive, considering the circumstances of that race.
I think that is the biggest thing. It's always going to play on their mind the next time they have to use him up, and you have to deal with the consequences. I know he ran the arm really quite notably first up, and he found the front, but it wasn't to the same degree that he had to do there. Kyle had to be very aggressive and animated to get across to the front. That 1,700-metre race, he pretty much meandered there.
He did.
When there was the interference.
When you got to open them up and then grab them up, clearly the horse didn't respond well to that for whatever reason. Ray's got to get to the bottom of it. But if he, I think they could look at it, if he's choked, and that's what they think, then they're probably going to look at letting him roll in future if they attempt to do that. And really, for its future, if you're drawn, say, in a barrier where you're an opportunity to lead, but you've got a quick one inside you, and you want to make that decision to say, this is the race, we're going to try and lead and be really aggressive, then they probably have to look at what happened there and say, okay, we'll just let him roll, because Laverajo's always been a horse that fast sections don't really worry him. He's better off rolling, I think, and that may well be the outcome of what happened last Friday night.
Either choked down or flipped his palate. Much of a muchness, really.
Yep.
Okay, let's continue with this preview. Before we do, save an extra 5% every day with Retrovision. Get in there and Morts will sort you out if you're a member of the Harness Racing Fraternity or the Talking Trots listenership. Race number 5 is the Members Sprint Free-for-All Pace. 17:30 is the distance. 7:20 is start time. Number 1, Magnificent, 145. 2, Cordero, 750. 3, Mr. Fantastic, $12. 4, Goodfellas, 550. 5, Tiger Royal, 16. 6, Classic Choice, 16. 7, El Daytona, 14. And 8, Volton Tin, 21.
Yeah, Magnificent going to be very hard to beat here. Hayden should lead. Mr. Fantastic did try and cross previously. Did you think Mr. Fantastic might come out hard trying to get that spot in front of Cordero?
Yep.
That's my reading as well. I think.
Well, if not, try to lead first.
Well, yeah. But I don't think it's going to cross Magnificent.
I don't, but
no.
yeah.
But you've got to come out hard to get that spot. Now, Cordero has lost that spot a couple of times. Kyle's going to be really aware of it, so he's going to have to try and get out hard. But I'm certain that Junior will be eyeing off that spot because it's a great spot to get. He could also just take the option of, no, I'll take 3 back, We did see El Daytona ping out the other week unexpectedly and flew out of the gate and got that position in front of, it was at Cordero that week too, I think. Pretty sure it was. El Daytona darted out from a wide draw and landed behind the leader. And, so this time it might be Mr. Fantastic or, I think El Daytona is drawn too wide to try that, but I thought Mr. Fantastic might try it, but then Junior might also say, 3 back I'll do because the last half is going to be pretty quick anyway. I'd be happy to take it, so it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I thought Magnificent would probably do enough. I think when I read this race, I thought Mr. Fantastic will lead and win. But I also thought if I had to have a second favourite, it would probably... Sorry, did I say Magnificent? I don't know. Magnificent will probably lead and win.
You said the other one, yeah.
Yeah.
You meant Magnificent.
Yeah. I mean to say, if I had to frame a market, I'd have Mr. Fantastic the second favourite because if Magnificent doesn't lead, Mr. Fantastic will because Magnificent's either made a mistake or he's just not come out well or something like that. So I think if I had to have another bet in the race, it would be Mr. Fantastic. You could always back him each way on the promise that he might get the leaders back. So...
Interesting point is that Mr. Fantastic couldn't cross Magnificent last time, but that was from the wider gate, but at the 2100, which is a significant change to the 1700, which we know is a barrier where quite often the one horse struggles a little bit compared to the outside horses. So he's got a slow beginner Cordero in 2, so that gives him an opportunity to have a run at it. But I still think Magnificent's quick enough to hold.
Yeah, and he gets the services of one of the best gate drivers going around, Gary Hall Jr. for the first time. Mr. Fantastic, always a plus. No back line. But I still think Magnificent should be leading and winning.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, pretty confident.
If he does lead, can you see him losing?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Looks like Classic Choice will be outside the leader. If they back off a little bit, he looks the logical.
He has been a month between runs. I didn't know if they would.
No, they may not. Goodfellas might be comfortable enough in the breeze over 1700. As well, because I don't think Goodfellas can stay all day.
Well, yeah.
And, it's. I think it's coming back to form, provided it behaves itself. It's had a few little issues at the start, but I think it'd be very comfortable enough, Goodfellas, on its ability over 1700 to sit in the breeze here and be comfortable in that position, quite frankly. If Classic Choice wants to go there, well, that's fine. But like you say, it hasn't raced for a little while. Look, Volton Tin, I want that spot if you can get it.
Yeah, if he could.
Yeah, if he can get it. But, I'll be... The gut feeling is that Chris Voak will want it. Goodfellas will be happy enough to be there. I would be if I
think Mr. Fantastic will be there if he can't get leaders back.
Yeah, maybe.
He does his best work when
he might want to drop to the rail, considering that Magnificent will run a brilliant last half here. But a horse like Goodfellas or say Velton 10 probably handle the breeze okay in this situation, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I doubt whether if Mr. Fantastic might have the big dip, but I think he'd be looking for the rail if he can't get there.
Yeah, I thought Classic Choice probably go back given that time between runs.
Could be, yeah, interesting
and
one.
The wide gate. That's race 5. Race number 6 is the CEFS, the Asset Finance Specialist Pace, 2,503 metres at 7.50. Number 1, Navy Street, $13. 2, He's a Charmer, 20. 3, Burley Shard, 15. 4, Dior's, 15. 5 is Out, Follow the Dragon. 6, Otis, 5.50. 7, Yankee Lincoln, 20. 8, Feeling Aces, 17. 9, American Bullet, 15. And 10, Shell Patch, 140.
Yeah, the class horse is back, isn't it? Shell Patch. And I think they'd have eyes on bigger things in the future. I presume it's ready. I just imagine it'd be forward enough here. I don't think Nathan would start it unless he was very happy with the horse. The 20 metres is always an issue. Never a gimme, but this type of company should be very suitable to a first-up venture with Shell Patch. Early leader, maybe Navy Street. Did you think that? Enough?
All 4 of those off the front are good beginners.
They are, yep. Hayden, welcome back, Hayden. I think Hayden might be able to do enough here to lead, and I think he'd be pretty comfortable if Shell Patch was circling the field and was on top of him at some point to sit behind Shell Patch, and probably all the other runners would as well, I would say, in this scenario. But the leader will probably be waiting for Shell Patch here after they settle, I would have thought. Yeah,
I don't think there's anything else you'd really want to be handing to.
Not at all, no. They're basically sit and kick horses. Hayden's horse, I think it's going okay, Navy Street, but
yeah, it is.
It's definitely a great place chance here, and it'll all depend on just how forward Shell Patch is. But again, we're interviewing Kyle Symington tomorrow. He may have some insight into Nathan Turvey's thoughts, but I'd expect Shell Patch to be presented ready to win by Nathan Turvey.
Yeah, I think he should just be too good. He's had 12 stand starts, 5 of those wins. Of course, most of them were in New Zealand, but even when we saw him win from the stand at Gloucester Park last time in, he was a fair space between runs on that occasion, so I don't think it'll be a worry that he's first up. He's clearly much the better of these, and he should just be able to determine his own fate and win the race. Navy Street, as you touched on, if he can hold that position early, he can definitely run top 2. Feeling Aces continues to race really well.
Going well.
She made a couple of decisions that didn't quite turn out last week, Denny Roberts, and he was still able to find the line with a flashing run. He is so ready to win. If Shell Patch wasn't in the race, I'd be very happy to be on him each way because the race would be completely different, but Shell Patch really just does look the winner.
Going really well, Feeling Aces. Yeah, look, if you're playing this race, you probably want to go the novelties, and you're pretty well got to work out which one's going to lead first. Probably is the key to the novelties here, the trifectas and finales and first fours. And I think that's the way you can get money if you get that part right, that speed map. Again, like you suggested, any of these one off the front line, beginning with alacrity, could be the initial leader. But I would see that they'd be looking to sit on only one horse here.
Yeah, but so much of this field is so close in terms of ability. You have to get the map right if you want to get the exotics, really.
Yep.
Because you can't have everything in there.
No. So you've got to get it fairly narrow, with the favourite being a standout on paper. That's for sure.
Yankee Lincoln was a good run last week.
Very, very good.
He
didn't quite get in there.
Yeah, he just
should have ducked in without maybe. Like he began quickly, then he got a sniff of the lead almost, and then he missed the spot behind the leader.
Yeah, really unlucky circumstances there.
Yep.
But could have turned out very different.
Yep, would have been good for the novelties had he have got in there. Would have elevated.
Race 7 is the WA Hall of Fame. Submissions due 5th of February. Pace 21.30, 8:20 start time. 1 Thompson Bay $3, 2 Fire Rock Fire Roll $12, 3 Watching Our Coin $1.50, 4 Middle Page $26, 5 Acuto $23, 6 Jasper Villa Beach $6.
Yeah, we saw Shannon launch in the Twitter interview last start. Shannon's discussion pre-race was a big indicator to me that Jasper Velovich would launch, and once he sort of indicated a little bit that could happen, for me he was in the novelties, and that's what happened. He led and then handed over, and a great bit of value there for the novelties. But here there was a bit of a tougher task. He may still attempt it. There's only 6 horses in it, but I thought with Fire Rock, Fire Roll, probably trying to have a good look at the crossing the 1, and the 1's gate speed reasonable as well, and watching our coin will be just biding his time, see what happens with 1 and 2. What did you think had happened?
I thought Thompson Bay would be able to hold up.
Yep.
Jasper Villa Beach, I don't know. He sort of had that element of surprise last week.
No doubt he did, but there's a lot of intent, and he did cross. I think it was Fire Rock, Fire Roll, wasn't it? Trying to remember now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thompson Bay's faster than Fire Rock, Fire Roll, though.
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of whether...
A little bit hit and miss with his gate speed as well, Fire Rock, Fire Roll. I think he gets out better from a wider gate than he does inside.
So it'd be interesting
because we saw him cross last week, but then he got crossed the week before, and I don't think that is a result of his gate speed necessarily.
No, he gets his chance here from 1. You have him holding the lead or sitting on watching our coin?
I think he'd probably hold, because when he's won those couple of races at Gloucester Park in the last 2-3 months, he's had to sustain a fair bit of pressure, and he's still run fast time over both the 17 and the 21, so he might as well lead, particularly with a horse that is not going to put him away watching our coin, because he's that kind of...
Yeah, he likes the breeze though, doesn't he, watching our coin as well, so there's no fear there.
I read an article of Ken Casellas's, his review of last week, and Michael Young was quoted to say he thinks watching our coin is a better horse in the breeze because he's forced to concentrate.
He does, but if you're a punter taking the shorts, you like him in front, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be interesting. Another one very significant for the interviews. Likelihood if the 1 holds up probably leads. Whether Madison Brown has a good look first is another issue. That it's got good gate speed, the 2s, but alongside it's an issue, and it can take the easy option of dropping in. And watching our coin, well, it's going to be happy to breeze, isn't it? And probably given that fact, probably not a lot of point in Shannon getting involved out of the gate. Middle Page racing well and ran a good sectionals last start after missing the start. Got home well. Like probably could end up the 1-1 maybe, depending on how he gets out the gate. But it's an interesting little race with a leaning to the favourite here for me.
Yeah, I think watching our coin might be too tough. Middle Page is probably the value. I don't think he could run down watching our coin from his back, but he could appear as a threat at some stage.
He likes this type of setup, doesn't he? If they all work and he'll keep coming at the 1 pace, Middle Page. It's quite strong. So, yeah, interesting little race tactically for us, particularly if you're doing the novelties again. It'd be nice to know the pattern if we can get a concise idea of the tactics in the parade ring.
Race 8 is the Sky Channel pace. 25.36 goes at 8.49. Number 1, Le Mondier, gets the pole draw again. 2, October Rain, the stablemate. 3, Name in Lights. 4, Ardent's Horizon. 5, Rupert of Lincoln. 6, Strike Master.
Yeah, Le Mondier looks the leader and very, very hard to run down. Chris Voak referred to Ardent's Horizon. It's got the class in this race. Like it'd be $1.20 if it drew 1. But clearly it's not going to get the lead here. It's probably going to end up in the breeze. October Rain behind the leader, I would say, would drop in. Name and Lights definitely drops in. So you're looking at Ardent's Horizon, Breeze, and maybe Rupert Lincoln 1-1 here.
Does Ardent's Horizon have a look at Le Mondier early?
Well, he can have a look all he likes. I don't see Junior handing over.
No, as in like crossing.
Oh, can't cross him. If you look last week, Le Mondier got out very quick, and Chris Voak really aggressive with taking a Mickey and forced an issue. And Michael Young and Junior referred to it again in the parade ring. Great information for the punters, very transparent. Look, it came out very quickly, Le Mondier, but it was just too much heat. First up for quite some time, Le Mondier. Look, I don't think Ardent's Horizon's any flying machine. It's a good beginner, but I don't think so. That's my gut.
No, I thought Le Mondier would lead and he could do what he wanted for the next...
He'd dictate the race, 2,500.
So.
You want to dictate a little bit, but quite often these 2,500 metre races aren't real staying tests anyway, and because of the distance, and I think if Ardent's Horizon's outside the leader, he'll be rating to try and beat Le Mondier late. rather than setting himself up to get run over by other horses here. October Rain behind the leader, for example, and even Rupert of Lincoln, if they went too hard, the last quarter was slower, he'd be running on. But I think he'd be very much rating to try and beat Lamandier in the last 600 to 800 metres.
And I don't think he will. I think Lamandier will lead and win.
I agree.
Pretty simple.
Yep,
And I don't think he'll be too worried about October Rain getting out. He's had his back before and wasn't able to cut him down, and should be able to get his chance to potentially run second. Ardent's Horizon sticking on. Name and Lights coming through. It's an interesting one for exotics. Rupert of Lincoln's the toughest stayer in the race for sure. And Strike Master, his last couple, he's raced right out of his grade and looks in over his head here.
He does a little bit, but he just loves he loves just sitting on the rail, fast run race. He'll run on. I know taking the Mickey won easily, but there's no doubt Lamandier still went good. Like Stanford was on his back. He beat Stanford home nearly 10 metres, and it won 55-1. Like, that's very, very good time. That's the winner, but Lamandier still went good, and you would think would benefit from that run.
The thing I've wondered about Strike Master his last couple, I've concluded they might have stepped him up in grade just so they can get a more honest tempo, because those last 5 less than 8s, they're just not running enough time for him to get active.
So which horse are you talking about?
Strike Master.
Oh, Strike Master, yeah. It's an interesting one, yeah.
Because he's only won 3 from 73 and he's in this race.
Yeah, that's right. It's just, you always know that Strike Masters, when it's on the rail and they go hard, it's a little bit of a giant killer that way. It's won a few races like that. So, this is a bridge too far, but, they're probably thinking fast run races better suit its racing style. Quite often walk and a sprint don't suit Strike Master, and I think rising in class will probably help the horse long term.
Best bets?
I haven't really got to that level yet, but I like Springline.
Yep.
I like Sugar Apple.
Yep.
Then more information required. A few. Magnificent, hard to beat. Shell Patch, hard to beat. And Lamandier, hard to beat. Those ones sort of jump at the page of me a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's concerning.
Well, we can get upsets, but...
No, I mean because I like them as well.
Yeah, okay. But, you can get upsets, and we see that one of them, something happens in a race and left field tactics, but it looks a little straightforward apart from a couple of races that we're referring to. Major tactical things will sort of be important, more for the novelties, I think, tomorrow night.
Okay, let's go to a break now. We'll have a look at the country on the other side. As we do, let's revisit that mares race from last week where Rumour Has It was able to fend off 3 Rumours in a gritty finish.
Then beyond the sea on the Mighty Lucy and Nullarbor Navajo. Rumour Has It just in front of 3 Rumours. Beyond the sea, Bullock's clear. In the straight, Rumour Has It and 3 Rumours. Rumour Has It fighting on in front. 3 Rumours trying hard. Rumour Has It's got the front though from 3 Rumours and Nullarbor Navajo. And just clinging on, Rumour Has It on the inside. Wins by a nose to 3 Rumours and 3 metres away third. Nullarbor Navajo was a good run from beyond.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
30.5. Hold that goal, struggling now. Chimani might run past it in the straight. Love You Lucy just has to keep the rhythm going. Leads by 20 metres to Chimani and Hold That Gold. Love You Lucy well clear, getting a little tired, but it's got it won. Hold That Gold's coming back on Chimani. He's going to run second, but Love You Lucy, a very impressive performance at its first start, won by 12 metres to Hold That Gold. 2.5 metres away, third was Chimani.
A nice debut there by Love You Lucy, another trotter enters our ranks here in the West. Lots of these Love You horses, they have that gleaming chestnut coat, and Love You Lucy is no exception. Ran along, was tired on the line, but that's to be expected when it's your first racetrack appearance, 2,500. Ran the finish out of them.
It went really good, rolled along and put the other runners out of the equation to chase it down, that's for sure. It never looked like getting beaten.
No. There was only one moment she looked like getting beaten.
At the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a worry there, but Chris Lewis got it down on trotting, and once it got its gate, it was all over once that happened.
Yeah,
got the lead.
Honestly, I had a feeling she wouldn't step, so that's why I had my reservations about it.
Yeah, a bit of a risk that way for sure.
If you knew she was going to trot the whole way, you'd just truckload her.
Yeah, she was a certainty provided all that, but it's first start for a trotter, that's always nervous moments, isn't it? And it looked like it, but he managed to get it down on trotting.
We've got country racing across the weekend. Bunbury, Bustleton, Albany, Pinjarra, whole host of meetings. We'll look at Bustleton first. Firstly, though, this segment brought to us by Steel Blue Boots. Get into Steel Blue if you require a new set of footwear. All right, Bustleton tomorrow. Glenn, you got any thoughts?
Well, gee, look at the meeting. Just had a brief look at the meeting, but it's worth covering. The race one, Candillo's ready to win. I thought it gets its opportunity. Just gets a clean start. It's important, of course, but it's going really well for that situation. Race 2, Delightable, Trent Wheeler, ran along a bit last start. Interesting that the other one there that grabbed my attention the other night was Velvet Shadow. I thought it went pretty good, and it could be a big improver there. If you look at its run, Gloucester Park, Tuesday, really got the line strongly late in good company. And it was He's Good as Gold, and the last, it was 29-7, 29-1, but I got the line strongly the last 100, 150. I just thought it might be the one here. Velvet Shadow, again, we haven't got prices, but Delightable is probably the leader and one to run down, Velvet Shadow. Major Dalton gets his very big opportunity in race 3, I thought. Drawn 1. Great opportunity. And then Gov Stars again, Trent Wheeler. If it can get it right at the start, Trent, be hard to run down. Didn't really impress overly first up for Cliff Woodworth, but nothing really worked out for it. This is a different ball game. If it can get the rail here, a bit difference from make handicaps, and thought it could be an interesting runner there in a race with a few chances. And race 5, another one, the Feeling Empathy is going really well, isn't it? It's racing terrifically well. You probably lean to Montego's going okay as well. Cheap Thrills. Good little race, Motor on Lily. There's lots of chances there, but just the way this horse is going, Feeling Empathy gives an opportunity for Liam Elliott with a concession. It's very versatile, can win from a sit, so it's got an opportunity here as well. Out of Dodge is one that's interested me in race 6.
I was having a look at this last night.
Yep.
New South Welshman, also mixed with a bit of South Australian at the beginning and ended up having a couple of runs up there in Queensland. It's a well-travelled horse, now comes to WA.
Certainly, and very importantly for the punters, did jump well in the trial. So Byford trial, if you look at it, to jump out, got out quite nicely. So, I mean, you're trusted to do it again on race night at Bustleton. It's a pretty new experience, but just did enough for me out of the stand to suggest that if it does lead here, it's going to be very hard to run down in a race where you want to be on the leader pretty well. There's a few there, but I'm just sort of banking on maybe Hayden getting the lead there. Alpha Princess, no luck. Previous start there. I think this will be very hard to beat with even racing luck, even off the 40. It's a level of the 40, but it had no luck whatsoever and could be hard to beat. Briggs on Bond, the last race, very tricky, but it was good last start. Went terrific, really, provided it can get the start here. What do you think of the last race? Little tricky sort of race, but Briggs on Bond did go okay, didn't it?
Yeah, the last quarter was the slowest there. Yep. They were walking home, but he looked like he was hitting the line pretty hard there.
Did?
Yeah, one of them's going to have their day, aren't they?
The start's all important, yeah, for sure. Look, not a race that I'd be confident about, but, I thought it went good enough to play a part there. So there's a few there at Bustleton.
Then we roll into Albany on Saturday night. You and I both like this one. Race 4, number 1, Rebline.
We do.
Well, pretty unlucky to have not won last start. She could just about stick her toes up and she might have run to the front, but not quite.
Yep. And
she came with a booming run late to just fail behind Firefly. Now the draws are reversed.
You've got that's right. They went terrific and I think it can win. The only issue for me, Hayden, is Rock and Roll Artist again. Brilliant beginner, isn't it? Rebline's got pretty good gate speed when they come out, but Trent Wheeler's going to be trying to get across. Rock and Roll Artist, probably a noted sit and kick horse. That's the only issue for me. If it gets across and then Rock and Roll Artist hands over, what would it hand over to? Khaleesi's going all right, press on. And Jackpot Joe, a press-on horse. Aldo be looking for that spot too if Rock and Roll Artist does get it. But I'm just thinking Repline.
Well, Firefly will still want to be there, try and be the first one.
Yeah, he'll try and be there as well, yeah.
But yeah, Rebline's pretty fast, and even if they went hard enough, Repline could get the retake, but it would be at a bit of a cost over the long trip.
Yeah, that's what worries me a little bit about if it gets crossed by Rock and Roll Artist, be my only caveat here. Otherwise, it's reasonably versatile and certainly got a bit of class, Repline. He's the one for me as well.
Race 5, number 4, Chillin', my other one, went back to trials there at Byford, went like a bomb.
It did.
Last 1200 was just over 127 there, which is pretty good going for Byford. He can make his own luck and win this race, you'd think.
I agree. I think it should win. You put a line through the way the race was run, I think that's big zero. You could say it went ordinary, but you could also understand what happened there.
He was a little bit keen too.
Very keen, which did hurt it. And when it pulled out, the pace went right on. And if you've pulled and then they sprint on you like that, it's not conducive to a horse finishing off. And I think there was a little bit of that factor involved in that performance. I agree with you, Chillin', hard to beat.
Race 1 at Pinjarra on Monday. I think Sweet Lucifer, the other horse out of that trial, I think he'll be able to get the money in the first of the Lightning Lap races. Just needs to come out. He can whiz up, work to the front, or even do some work in the run, still be too good.
What race are we talking about there?
1.
Sweet Lucifer, drawn barrier 6.
Yep.
Just
keep pressing forward.
Yeah, there's not a lot there. There's probably in Sweet Lucifer's class, really. Does get a great opportunity. Scullabutt might have been interesting had it had drawn inside because it has got some ability on its night or day. But, yeah, I think it could probably Sweet Lucifer would handle most of those. Scullabutt, a query horse, in terms of its best form, is quite solid. So, but its first up probably needs some information from the interviews there.
Interesting runner in the last. Regal Cheval has got zeros next to his name at his last 4 appearances. He's barely beaten a runner home, but on Monday, he gets the pole draw for new handler Gary Hall Jr.
Yeah, you'd think the short trip would suit. Regal Cheval, Enigma horse in some ways, its best has been very good for Brownie, but has also mixed its form a lot, hasn't it? So it obviously tapered, and Gary taking it on and seeing what he can do with it, just a change of scenery sometimes helps horses as well. So, yeah, look, it's a watch, and could be very interesting. On face value, a very good beginner with like Sprint Journey, so you would think could be hard to beat. Interesting. He's a cool Mac, obviously went down first up, went okay for Michael Brown and Chris Voak. As Terrian coming back from a spell, Rock and Rufus, Nathan Turvey's got a couple there that did trial, but a little bit of a query on those trials at this stage. I have to have a good look at them. But Santorini, it would be the logical danger to Regal Cheval, I would have thought.
Bunbury Tuesday, I've got one. Race 6, number 1, Atomic Feel. Gee, he went hard out in front, but he just kept running last time out. Now he gets gate number 1 and conditions to suit.
As long as he behaves himself. Terrific run, wasn't it? Just went super. Went like a horse that should be racing at Gloucester Park, that's for sure. I think it's always had its ability, but it's had its little idiosyncrasies, I guess the best way of putting it. But the maturity may be there, and the way it went last start of it leads, good luck trying to catch it. Been scooting, obviously, his horse with plenty of ability for Ray Jones. Kyle Harper, very, very good run first up, but it's all going to depend on Atomic Field early here. If it behaves itself and leads, it's going to take some running down, that's for sure.
That's a look ahead to the next 5 days of pacing. Hopefully we've got some winners among them. Glenn, think that's it?
Very good, yeah, glad to be back. The boys are probably getting closer, I've heard, to making a reappearance in the new year. So we'll see what happens next week. And it's been great guest too with Chris Voak tonight. Bomber, hope he's back next week. He's doing
he said he's back
tour.
Next week.
Doing a bit of a cricket tour, isn't he?
Yeah, well, last week he was getting well lubricated, and then this week he's on a cricket trip. So
yeah, we look forward to having Bomber
he's
back.
assured me he'll be back next week.
Very good. And tomorrow morning on the Gloucester Park preview, we'll have Michael Young and Kyle Symington, as we referred to. So tune in to get some more insight. Hopefully we can find a winner or two tomorrow.
Indeed. Thanks for tuning in, punters. That does it for another week of Talking Trots.